Hi, it's Glenn from Alderspring. And I'm walking along this fence here that marks the edge of what we call the riparian area along the Pahsimeroi River. And the Pahsimeroi River is kind of a unique river in that even though we're 900 miles away from the ocean, it holds quite a bit of habitat for anadromous fish. Anadromous fish are fish that come all the way from the Pacific Ocean to spawn on this ranch. There's about 3 to 4 miles of this same kind of jack fence built all along the Pahsimeroi River bottom to keep Alderspring cattle out during the growing season. The cool thing about this jack fence is that deer, antelope, moose, elk can either jump over it or go through it, but our big bovines don't. So it works pretty good for doing that. It allows wildlife ingress and egress, but no cattle to transgress. There's a lot of cool super highways of trails all along the river bottom here. This one here is an elk trail. We get about 100 head, 200 head of elk that migrate all through this river bottom in the wintertime. And you can see these trails worn into the grass here along the river. It's pretty cool. Here I'm standing on the banks of the river. It actually braids a lot through here. It's very flat and it meanders back and forth and back and forth. And I'm standing on one of these banks that I was telling you about. That's all volcanic soil. You can look way down in here. Sometimes you can look down about 6 or 7 feet and it's just all soil held together by plant roots. And that's why it's so sensitive to grazing damage along here, and that's why we only graze it in the wintertime. What we're after is a diversity of vegetation types here. You can see all these beautiful shrubs behind me, all these willows, and I'm standing on some really nice grass, and it's like this all the way through. There's these open meadows surrounded by little willow copses, and get a real nice mosaic of both hiding and thermal cover for wildlife and the forage base. The wildlife come here because there's both. There's a lot of hiding and thermal cover for them in case somebody comes down here, in case a predator like a wolf comes down here. So there's plenty of places for them to get away to. But on the other hand, there's plenty of places for them to find abundant forage as well. And that's what we like. We like to see both. And we use cows, we use bovines as a grazing tool in the wintertime to browse some of these willows down that are coming into these meadows and encroaching, and try to keep it open. And that is actually what I believe happened prehistorically before the white man came along here, is that buffalo did the same thing. They wintered in these bottoms. They enjoyed the hiding cover and the thermal cover of the river, and they kept them open. You know, actually that captures a lot of our philosophy at Alderspring. What we try to do with these cows in these wild areas, like along the Pahsimeroi River and up on our ranges, is try to mimic what was done prehistorically with bison. So how do we know that? How have we figured that out? Well, we just read old accounts of bison distribution and what they used to eat here. And there's journals from trappers and stuff like that that talk about bison being down here in the bottoms. And then we can observe them, you know, in semi-natural habitat in Yellowstone and in South Dakota. And we try to mimic their behavior with what our cattle do here on the ranch. Happy trails! See you next time!